Um, Intentional infliction of emotional distress. It looks to me like the other part of a claim is to basically say that she was emotionally distressed from the sexual abuse, right? So I went and found some case law on intentional infliction of emotional distress, and it goes on to say, in order to state a cause of action for intentional emotional distress, a party must allege facts which establish that one, the defendant's conduct was extreme and outrageous. The defendant either intended that his conduct should inflict severe emotional distress or knew that there was a high probability that his conduct would cause severe emotional distress. Three, the defendant conduct in fact caused severe emotional distress, right? So it looks like from reading her suit, and again, I don't know the facts. I don't know what happened. I don't know the history between them two, those two. All I'm doing is that I'm just some Joe Blow on the internet, reading the actual complaint and reading case law for emotions distress. So she's probably going to say that his conduct, the act of having sex with a minor, is extreme and outrageous, right? And I think a jury would probably agree to that. And then they're going to probably argue not that the defendant intended that his conduct inflict in severe emotional distress. What they're probably going to say is that he should have knew there was a high probability that his conduct could cause severe emotional distress. That's probably what they're going to argue, right? And not to spoil the last video that I'm going to do, but R. Kelly's lawyers are probably going to counter and say, hey, well, he has a mental disorder, or, he was raped. And because of this fact that he was raped, he was emotionally damaged, or they'll probably say he was not emotionally damaged. What's the word I'm looking for? They're probably going to argue that he had a mental illness. And because he had this mental illness, he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what the results would be from his actions. That's probably what they're going to argue. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm definitely not his lawyer. And then it goes on to say the defendant's conduct in fact caused emotional distress. They're probably going to be able to prove that because they're probably going to bring the psychologist in to testify and basically tell or say that that the Heather Williams is emotionally scarred from the damage that she received. So basically, R. Kelly would probably be to bring in a psychiatrist to counter the findings of the plaintiff's psychiatrist. So that's that. I mean, I think, in my opinion, this part, intentional infliction of emotional distress, is going to be very hard for R. Kelly to counter. And then we have negligent infliction of emotional distress. It says for a victim to state a claim for negligent infliction of emotional distress, she must allege one, that the defendant owed the plaintiff a duty, and two, the defendant breached that duty, and three, the plaintiff's injury was proximately caused by the breach. If plaintiff has not alleged facts sufficient to impose a duty on the defendant, the plaintiff has failed the state of claim, and the action should be dismissed. To me, it seems like negligent infliction of emotional distress would be a little harder to prove. To where, in my mind, it should be the easiest to prove. But it looks like their lawyer. So in the original suit, that not the original, I'm sorry, in the suit that we read earlier, the complaint we read earlier, I remember that it mentioned that the young lady met with R. Kelly, and the young lady brought her parents. So I don't know, this is kind of tricky because they might argue that the parents trusted R. Kelly and they bestowed some type of duty onto R. Kelly to watch their daughter and to keep their daughter safe. And that's where they're going to tie in that the defendant owed the plaintiff a duty, right? Because like I wouldn't do it, right? But I could see a situation where my, son or daughter wants to study music. This music, savant is around, and he's an adult. And I can see a situation. Well, I wouldn't do it, but I can see a situation where some parents may say, "Well, hey, he looks like he's a trustworthy individual. Just make sure nothing happens to our daughter. She wants to spend time with you and learn music." And yeah, so basically, I think that could possibly qualify as a duty to the plaintiff, right? You're handing your child over to this person because you trust that person and you think that person is going to be responsible and not let any harm come to your daughter. And again, I would not do that. There's no freaking way in the world, unless it's in a school environment. I'm not handing my kids over to nobody. All right, unless the only way that they're going to study music is if I'm there or the mother is there. But some parents may say, okay, well, we trust him. He looks decent. He has a good reputation. We're going to hand our child over to him. And it's still kind of tough because if you know R. Kelly, you may have known, like this was 1998, so maybe he wasn't well known. The allegations, I'm sorry, the allegations of him uh, sexually abusing minors may not have been well heard of then, so maybe they didn't know about that, but it's still kind of tough. I don't know. And then they would go on to say the defendant breached that duty, and that the plaintiff was approximately caused. I'm sorry, and the injury was proximately caused by that breach. So that's it. This video has definitely gone on too long. I am going to end it here, and we'll come back with the next video where we're going to talk about the claims that R. Kelly has, the filings that R. Kelly has done to try to have this default judgment dismissed. So we'll get into that, and I'll also probably break this video up in two because it went 22 minutes and I didn't intend for it to go 22 minutes. So, okay, see you guys back in the next video.